it occurred to me, J.M. Caesar, the 5th of October, 2022, Sky will be a quarter of a century old, 25 years.
Exactly, 25. Yeah.
And when it dawned on me, I thought, no way. No way. I mean, you can't tell me that, this little experiment with Sky is like 25 years almost, So what I decided was that we're not very good at keeping history alive. We don't tell our own stories very well. And I thought, let me try. It's not a promise, but let me try and see if I can write the true history to the best of my ability with the help of every one of you great guys that work there. So I've been going around speaking to everybody at Sky, everybody I know, and you are next.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
What I'm doing with the guys is we have a conversation like this, where we remember the past, some of the things, mainly based on questions that I ask. But, it's a conversation. We all know the information, and then I record it. Then later on, when I find time, I will use it as the source material based on which to write a book. And the book, I hope, will be ready before the 5th of October, 2022. To show
that would be excellent.
to show how far Sky has come. And Caesar, you particularly are unique because you were there from day one, and you're still there. Is there anybody else there from day one apart from you, apart from Wilson and Ajwa? Anybody else?
No one.
Wow.
I'm the surviving sole survivor.
So, Caesar, tell me, exactly how did you become associated with Sky?
Well, my journey with Sky was a very fun one. At the early stages that Sky started, they were playing test transmission. And a friend of mine, Kobe, who used to work with Mobitel at that time. Mobitel was sponsoring the test transmission. So he was a friend. He came over to my house and said he was going to a new radio station that has been opened. My house is just a walking distance from 37 Windy Ridge.
At the top, I remember.
So I went there with him and we got to the studio. Interesting, Willie was behind the console playing music. Then he had a call and he left to pick the call in the other room. So the music was about ended. I went behind the console and I changed the music and then I played the next song. So when he came back, he asked, who did that? And I said, it was me. He said, they have been training people on how to use the console. They are finding it very difficult to do it. I just walked in and I just played it just like that. So do I want a job?
That must be the easiest interview ever.
And I laughed it off. I said, no, I work, so I can't do that. He asked, what about after work? And, those of us who are from Europe, we do double work. So I said, yeah, why not? Not a bad idea. Let me put in a try and see if I can come over after work. And when I came to Ghana, I just returned to Ghana around the same year, somewhere in July or so. So I had lots of music, CDs with me. So I brought my own CD and I was playing the test transmission. In fact, anytime you hear Sky playing test transmission and the music is flowing in non-stop, as with this young guy over there who was doing the magic. So it got a lot of people attention in the city. Now, I didn't apply for the job. I just walked in there, played the music and said, you are hired. Just like that.
Because you didn't need a job.
No, I didn't need a job.
In fact, for as long as I've known you, for 25 years, you've never needed a job.
Why are you saying that?
Well, because I've seen it, because I know it. I've seen your father's, the different businesses that your father operated and how you helped him run it. From the factory to the hotel,
Well, I mean, you're part of us, so you know a little bit about those ones, so I won't complain.
I just feel like I want to hear the story again, just as well that I'm recording it, right? I mean, it sounds
So
ridiculous.
that's how my love affair with Sky started. I mean, it was one of those things. And the interesting thing was that because I was very close to where the station was, it got the likes of Kimby. Kimby was staying with me. He came to stay with me eventually for the best part of his life in Takrady until he left for the States. So we were like brothers, me and him. So that it was it. I don't know if you noticed that every afternoon I used to come and pick the boys to lunch.
It was a
Then on
tradition.
weekends, on the weekends they come to my house to eat because I cook for them to come and eat. Then later the ladies joined and it became something like a ritual that every weekend we have to go to the Wizia Beach and after that come to James' house to eat. Then we go and do the countdown. So that was the beginning.
So let's backtrack a little bit because it's interesting that you said you returned from the United Kingdom around July that year, and
Yeah.
it was from memory because I was in Takrady and I was living in Takrady. I had met Wilson already before the test transmission started because at the time I was working as a journalist with the Ghanaian Chronicle and also with the Radio and TV magazine. So I remember it was in August that the test transmission started. So you just got on board, even though you didn't actually ask for the work, you were not even interested. You had to be kind of talked into it. And also because it was a little bit convenient in the fact that where you lived is literally a walking distance from the studio. So you were a music lover yourself.
Yes, I mean I love music, R&B and hip hop. So I brought lots of CDs with me. So that was what made it easy. Though Sky had lots of music and stuff, but my collection was second to none. I still have them anyway.
Of course you
I still
will.
have them.
It's like
Yeah.
gold for a music lover. So can you summarize your life in the UK before returning to Ghana?
Well, basically, I went there to school because I had skipped sixth form from Ghana. And I gone to West London College to do my sixth form education there. So I majored in business administration and cost accounting as well as financial accounting. It was easy for me to make a choice. I decided to do internal audits. So I enrolled in Chartered Institute of Management Accountancy at Wolf University, Wolf College of Accountancy, which is part of Leeds University. So that is how it was. So after school, my dad told me point blank, even though I had been offered a job, an apartment, a car, he told me point blank, I need you in Ghana to come and help with the family business. So come down to Ghana. So that is what happened. I was there for 8.5 years.
That's a very long time. I remember in those days, more so than now, you had this English accent as well. I think after all the years in Ghana, you've finally lost most of it.
Yes, it was because I went there when I was a young chap. So obviously, you pick it, you are speaking with the people. When I was in Ghana, I barely speak either Asante or Fanti. In fact, Fanti was none. Was a little bit of Asante. But my mom was a headmistress, so the English was a common language we used in the house. So it was easy for me to pick up when I went to UK. Besides, when you are schooling with them, you tend to, pick the language and the accent very easy because the way they speak to you, they expect you to speak the same to them. Otherwise, they won't understand what you are saying. So it became part of me. For the 6 years I spent in school, that was how it was. The interesting thing is that my auntie actually taught me Fanti in London. So that was how I got to speak Fanti.
So tell me your history in Ghana before you left.
My history in Ghana lasted for only, I think, 18 years or so. Because at the age of 15 years, I already finished secondary school for 5. Because my mom was a headmistress, she used to take me to school at the age of 3 years. So by 4 years, I was in class 1. And I picked up so easily At a point in time, I was even jumped to a different class. Then my mom took me off from the school to Okwa International School. There, my performance was so great. They had no choice to allow me to do the common entrance at that time. So by 10 years, I started the common entrance. I passed to secondary school.
So in some ways, you were gifted.
Well, I didn't know about that until later in life that I realized, wow, 15-year-old boy, I finished secondary school Form 5 at that time. So that was interesting. The rate at which I was growing, my mom thought if they didn't do something about it. That's a sad thing in Ghana, because if they had allowed me, I'm sure by 17 years I'll be in the university. But I was not allowed to continue because they thought I was growing too fast ahead of time. So they allowed me to travel a little bit. That was when I went to Liberia. All my cousins were there, so they took me to Liberia for a visit for 1 year with them. And boy, did I have a good time. Another thing is that when I came back to Ghana after 1 year, I was having a Liberian accent. That was also another interesting thing. So the transformation it's not easy for me, but it was very interesting. I had a very lovely youthful time. In Liberia at that time was very peaceful, and everything that they were doing there was like in the States, the basketball, the dressing, everything. So there was a place that's called Waterside. It's like that's where they sell all their shoes and stuff. It's like a mall, but it's a street. Very long stretch of street. So we used to go there. We used to go to the community center to watch basketball and all those things. But my little experience that I was not cherishing was the food, because they call something and rare oil. So that's a stew. But the stew they use palm oil to do the stew with rice, and that was one of the achieved things. Then also cassava leaves.
Yeah,
they like it very much. They do sauce with the cassava leaves. So those ones were a bit challenging at the beginning. But when we got into the McDonald's and the Kentucky's, it was so good for me at that
time. So which city in Liberia were you?
We were in the capital, itself.
Right.
Monrovia.
Monrovia. Yeah. So living in England would have changed you a lot from what you were in Ghana and also experienced for a year in Liberia. What were the things in England that changed you and resulted in the kind of music you loved, or the fact that you developed a strong taste in music?
I always liked music, even when I was in Ghana. But when I got to England, because I was having my freedom of living alone in my room, I was given a tape to listen to at night. And when it switched between stations, they play lots of music like jazz, reggae, raga, then the R&Bs and the hip hop. So I was listening to all kinds of music. I fell in love with the raga side a little bit. But after a year or so, that was not appealing anymore. Then I started listening to the R&Bs and the hip hop. Fortunately for me, I met a friend in university called Marcus. His brother was working with Uptown Records in the States. So he was bringing him a lot of CDs for us to listen to. That's how I fell in love with the hip hop and R&B. So we started doing collections, and we'll go to Sunday Market at Liverpool Street to go and look for CDs. It was when you go to the proper stores, HMV, they were selling CDs like £22.
£22 for CD is expensive.
It was very expensive. So we're not buying from those stores, HMVs and Virgin stores. We're going to the streets to buy it at the market. It was more or less like bootleg, but we didn't care because it was good at the same quality, except that it might not last long as those ones that were buying from the mega stores. But they were good CDs. I still have some of them, and they are still working all right. So obviously it was good. At that time, CD was the thing. So I'm sure the quality was all right, except that we were not buying from the right source.
coming back to Sky now, I can't believe, obviously, I've spoken to a number of our colleagues already, and yours, the way you got your job is the most ridiculous and funniest I've heard so far, And so, and I could just imagine you, Wilson at the time, sitting at the studio, playing the songs, and Wilson loves music. I mean, he's got musical taste that is legendary. And he would have come back, and I could imagine how he would have asked you the question, like, and who changed it, And so tell me the progression of Sky from that point onward when Wilson announced you to his brother, Big Bro, as essentially his first employee.
I was not used to that environment, even though I used to play when I was in university for parties. But to sit on radio where you know that everybody is going to hear your voice, it was something new. It was a new experience to me. In fact, somewhere along the line, during one of the training sessions, I nearly quit because I was in the office and I have to come for training. As the training was going on, a car was sent to come and pick me back to the office. So I thought this is not for me. I can't have time for it. I nearly quit. But my love for music brought me back. Wilson was excited. The interesting thing, I don't know if you remember this. Remember that most of the CDs, there were some inscriptions at the back of the CDs where we had T1, T2, T3, T4.
I remember that.
Yeah. So when Wilson saw that I was a music man, he told me that we have to do tempo. That's why I was written T. So that those people who will be coming, if they are playing tempo 1 and they pick the CD, they look at the one that had marked T1, then they will play. So tempo 1 will be like very slow music. So you see that the person might not be someone who have good knowledge of music, but his flow is the same. So it took us a long time, almost a month, to make sure that we get everything right at the back of the CDs. All those 600 CDs or so that we had at the time. I had to listen to every one of them. Then we'll be making match T1, Tempo 2, Tempo 3 with Wilson. So that's how the bond started. So it was a very, very, very good experience.
Can you explain to me the tempo, the philosophy of the tempo? How was it used in the real world in playing in the studio? Because I do remember that sometimes as we're playing music, we are able to increase the tempo a little bit. Look, like if it's a fast music, we can make it a little bit faster than it was naturally recorded, or a little bit slower. Is that what this is referring to?
No, that's totally different. Those ones were to give you the same type of music that you can play when you choose a program to play. So you only play tempo 2 music depending on the time. If it's in the morning, tempo 2 music are those that are a bit slow, so you're not playing the faster ones. But in increasing the speed of the CD that's being played, we had something on the machine that was called pitch control. So you either pitch it forward or you pitch it backwards. You pitch it forward to increase the speed of the song being played, or you pitch it backwards to decrease the speed of the song. So those are two different things.
So Caesar, do you know, I am aware of this T1, T2 labeling on the CDs, but I never, ever knew the practical application until you explain it now. But as you've explained it, I'm thinking, you and Wilson, were you insane or what? Who cares what kind of music is played in the morning or afternoon or night? You guys care too much about music.
Well, we needed to let Sky be different because we are listening to Twin City and we realized the deficiency that was being, played on their radio. It was basically a Ghana radio where they have news and other stuff. So we wanted to make it different, and simply because interesting, Wilson had come from UK as well. So we talked about some of the programs in London, and they talk about the countdown. That was how the countdown idea was conceived. So we put our ideas together. Okay, we can do this one. We can pick this program here. We can pick this one here. So those are the reasons why we have those mid-tempo songs, Sky Spicy Lunch, those Get Closer, the Sky Countdown, the Christian Radio. Those were the reasons why we had all those programs with different types of music and the arrangement as well.
Do you know, I'm listening to you and I feel like I am now being introduced to Sky. Because I know you have a great sense of taste in music. Wilson has. Then there's Kim B. In fact, when I spoke to Kim B, apparently Wilson and Kim B knew each other when they were like 12 years old. And they both loved music, And then later on, some of the other guys that, added to the Sky group, like Joe Innocent. Joe Innocent has a great taste in music. And now seems like, and then Phillip Nyakpo has his own taste. Then we had the ladies who were amazing in their own ways. So now I'm beginning to see why Sky Power FM output was so great in terms of the music and the entertainment.
You're very right. Because we are all having the same kind of ideas. We're thinking alike. So that was how it happened. And the fact that Kim B was staying with me as well. So we had so much time, so much space together to plan and also bring our ideas on board. And I think one other factor that worked for Sky was the fact that it was the first private radio station. So all those budding talents who had it in them and wanted to work on radio had the opportunity to be at Sky. So the best was picked. Can you imagine that at that time, those times, Bob G of all people was playing night radio after 12 midnight?
Because it's as if we were suggesting Bob G was not polished enough. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, Philip, it was like that. But the thing was that where does he fit during the day? Because Rutai is there, Kimbe is there, Fadi Kapedu is there. Of course, you guys comes in between with the news, and in the morning another big lecture. Oh, my Miss Macas, all those people were there. So as good as you are, where do you fit? You have to go back to
night radio.
Midnight radio.
And then, of course, we got Shakes on board Kojo Frimpong. Kojo Frimpong is a bundle of talent and energy, And this guy walks in and he didn't feel like he belonged, It
was amazing. He himself had a confession to make some time. And we said he was sitting at the reception when he saw me come in. We did a twinkle of an eye. He saw me carrying about 20 CDs, and I entered the studio. Then he heard the Sky jingle, and the sound started playing. At that time, he said to himself, I better get out of here. I cannot get near this guy. He said, no way. Let me get out of there. I don't belong to this place. But God is amazing. Shakes eventually became like my little brother. He used to even stay in my house. I have to, of course, ask permission from his parents. I'll take you home in the morning before I go to work. Then the parents is okay. They know he's with you. I got to a point. He was spending weeks in my house. And that friendship grew to become like family. He ended up being my best man on my wedding day.
When I spoke to Shakes, Kojo Frimpong, these are some of the things we talked about. In fact, I hope one day you will get to listen to the interaction between both of us. It's sweet. It's amazing. It's just a beautiful thing, And some of these details we've revealed, yes, sure. How he would spend days and weeks with you very close to the station where you were living. Those are like little things you forget, or at least I've forgotten. But it also shows how that blending of friendship and of professionalism resulted in the uniqueness of Sky and the family that it became.
It was an amazing thing. Like I said, my house was like the meeting place. My mother and Adole would come and cook here. Then during lunchtime, everybody would come and eat here. Then go back. Weekends they would come over here. It was something that was maybe I would say God sent because remember I was the only one with the car at that time, so I went and pick all of them. Sometimes even dropping them in their houses after work. It was a beautiful thing. The Sky family, the thing that started from those days. Well, only God knows. That was how Sky became Sky because even Willie himself would sometimes join us to lunch. So that was a beautiful thing. It was something that really got all of us involved. And because we were so young, there was no jealousy in it. Everybody had a free mind, and we were all eager to put ourselves on the map and make Sky a great one.
And there was a lot of innocence as well, as I remember. It's like we couldn't have enough of each other because people came there and spent time there in the studio, even when they didn't have a program. They just wanted to be there.
You wouldn't want to leave. We all be around until like 6 when the last person has finished, and then we can all go because those of us who are playing night radio will also take over after that. But everybody will be there. And you will finish reading your news at 1, and you'll be there till like 6 before you go home because it was so great. We're having fun, chatting with each other. That was something. That was an experience. That was something else.
And your house became effectively an extension of the studio.
Yeah, because it was that close. I remember once we went out to the club or something, and we ended up all of them sleeping in the house. Those that slept on the carpet, those in the chair. Of course, myself and Kimi in our bedrooms. Oh, it was something. I mean, one of those things. Maybe God wanted it to be that way, because if you look at the people that we had, I quite remember. This is a very interesting story. You know, Yao Crunchy, right?
Very much, yes.
Yeah, was more or less.
No, Yao was like the monk. He was like the monk.
The monk. He was a monk. Yeah. Well put. Yeah, I was a monk. So when we are going to eat at court, the fufu side at Sekendi, yes. Now my little car will have about 6 people in it.
Overloaded.
And Yao is always the one sitting by the door, by the front door. And we used to pass through T-Poly, now TTU. We used to pass through T-Poly. So when we are passing there, we see the ladies. And young guys and ladies. But because Yao was in the car, everybody will be stiff. Everybody will be stiff. And everybody will be quiet. But Shakes, knowing how it is, we just say, oh, what a beautiful guy. Then Yao will say, hey, shut up, do forward. So that was one thing that was very, very, every time we got to that area, the car would be silent. Nobody will say a word until we get out of that place because you can only look, but you can't talk.
And knowing Shakes, Kojo Frimpong, being the kind of troublemaker he was, he would always test the limits, wouldn't he? So I can just imagine him just saying it anyway, just to get attention. He
tried the first, second, the third time. We have told him he will not get in the car to go to lunch again. So he stopped. You'll be suicidal. Woe betide you if you miss the lunch. That means you get hungry until God knows when.
And thinking back to those days, you were right that Sky practically started with no car. And I was telling some of our colleagues that the only car I remember at Sky was yours. That old car. Oh my goodness. You wouldn't have that car anywhere, isn't it? We should build a museum for it, for all the trips it made.
No. I got rid of it long time ago.
Do you know
that car had loads of memories.
It has a lot of story to tell by itself. And in fact, when I repeated this to Mamisi McHanson or someone else, the person actually corrected me that maybe you were not the only one with a car, that there was how should I call him? is he some sort of principal? Bediako. Bediako was much older than all of us. Kwesi Bediako. He was much older than the rest of us guys, and he was a fully settled man, whereas we were now growing, and I think he came to play jazz, and that's it. That's all he did, really. Yeah, and he was busy enough with his business life,
His business,
his
com center. He was into artwork, so he was busy enough. But he used to come there, not as regular as I was. That was why we said the only one with a car. But he also had a car. I think it was a Nissan van or something. Yeah, whenever we go to Busia Beach, we all be partying. And then we go.
Yeah.
I remember.
And those days, what impressed me was the fact that Wilson, hardly anyone considered him a boss, right? He was one of us. Wilson was very much one of us. And for for quite a long time, he also didn't have a car, even though he was the owner of the station, the chief executive.
The owner of the place, yeah.
But he was just like the rest of us.
He was just like one of us. That was I think what worked in our favor, because he saw himself to be one of us. We were all comfortable, and everybody was able to work with him. If you have a problem, you approach him and we'll gladly solve it out for you. So it worked. Somehow it worked. The cordial relationship he created resulted in that family that we are talking about now. Because without him being the boss and being that friendly and giving us that freedom to work as one unit, I don't think we would have had this history that we are talking about after 24 years.
So tell me more about what impresses you about Sky, why it was revolutionary. I know you said how, sure, it is the first private radio station that was just different. What are the other elements that really makes you feel this is extraordinary?
I think from the beginning, the sort of programs that were introduced, the Sky Market, the Get Closer, remember we used Coast to Coast. All those things, he said to you, if you wanted to speak to your family member, you have to go to somebody's house. Somebody who has a phone in his house, and they'll give you time. But here you are hearing people's voices on radio, your relatives all the way in the States, London, everywhere, on radio, wishing you well. That was something else. And it worked for us because of Anklopian as well. He was loved by the city, the late Anklopian. He was loved by the city. And he was funny as well. He will call you after your program, correct you with the words that you spoke. To your mind, you might think you have said the right thing. Say, about once he told me that I should never say committee, I should say committee. Things like that. And that was it. We also did lots and lots of outreach programs for the people of Second Intercredit, which they were not used to. So those ones also got us a lot of listenership. And our jingles was very catchy. So Anya Sky and Toronto Radio, those things like that. So it got a lot of people getting involved. And we opened up Takrat. We really did open up Takrat.
And the people at Sky, I just wanted us to look at them again. As I go around talking to each and every one of us, one thing surprises me, which is that it's obvious, right? It shouldn't surprise me, but it does, which is that we really didn't know each other from anywhere, right? You have a group of people who came from different places, and all of a sudden, they became like family. And when I say family, I'm meaning in that word, just as you and I experienced there, looking at all of our colleagues and how we related to each other and just the harmony.
It's amazing, isn't it? Even after all these years, we still have the same feeling. Every time you come together, you look for me, I come over, we talk and we laugh, we joke. Shakes comes time with the family, and he wants to come over. We sit down, we have dinner, the whole family. I go to Accra, the first people I call Shakes, Eloy Monday, Eric, everybody. We still keep in touch. I quite remember once I was at studio when I was told I had visitors. So I said, okay, let them come upstairs. The door opened and guess who entered? My main photographer. I said, wow. I was not expecting to see her, but here she was. I mean, I don't know what it was, but I think once again, we were lucky to have met at that time, just like you said. And I also have a feeling because we were that young, we grew to like each other and became a family. I mean, there was no competition, anywhere else. Even if there was, we were still where we were. We had such a great bond, and everybody loved being at Sky. So you look around Ghana now and look at most radio and TV stations in the country. Everywhere that there's somebody doing great, that person might have been a product of Sky up to now. So it goes to show that those of us who had the opportunity of being there the very first time really set a very great mark, and it's been followed from that time till now.
I remember Caesar, and fondly so. It would be a few years ago when I came to Ghana, visited the studio, and you were on air. And without me asking, you not telling me, you just opened the microphone.
You can open the mic and we just were talking.
You started saying how Phillip is in the house. And I actually, at that moment, I thought, wow, it feels exactly like coming back home,
Like before, yeah.
It felt...
That was the thing.
It felt really, really
good.
We
used to do that a lot. We used to do that a lot to each other. When one is doing a program, you're working, it will just put you on the spot. So you have to say something. So it has become part of us. As soon as you enter, I said, oh, Phillip is in the house. How are you, Phillip? I gave you the microphone. And you're like, oh. Very unexpected, but that was a no.
and Caesar, there's one more thing as well about us all. I don't know if it's something you remember as much as I do, but the guys at Sky, a lot of them, practically all of us, it was like a combination of very intelligent people and very crazy people. We
had all sorts of them, didn't we? We had everyone there. Every character was there. but that was why it worked. The blend was crazy, but it worked. It worked very well.
I remember speaking to a lawyer Monday, and a lawyer Monday says that just about everyone there seemed to have a certain problem, that you call crazy. And then he says, when you really analyze the whole thing, it's as if Wilson just went around town and looked at all the crazy people who were also intelligent and brought them together.
That seems to have been the fact. Like I was saying, because it was the first radio station, anyone that had talent enough to be on radio wanted to be there, and we got the best. We got the best at that time. We worked very. Even those that came in after a year or two also added up to it, and it went perfectly well for everyone. It was such a brilliant place to be at that time.
As I keep on researching to have this book written through all these interviews and interactions, I discovered something earlier this week that on the 20th anniversary of Sky, which is back in probably 2016 thereabouts, Kofi Kinata apparently composed a song specifically for Sky. And I wasn't even aware of it. I didn't know. It was only this week I listened to it. And I thought, how incredible. And because here's the thing. Obviously, I'm now familiar with Kofi Kinata's music because, you recognize this as a product of Takoradi. I mean, no one has to tell you. Tadi is that unique. You will recognize Tadi from 10,000 miles away, And,
that's right.
And I started thinking, how is it that I personally don't know Kofi Kinata? Because during my time at Sky in Takoradi, it is just a natural thing that I knew just about anyone who mattered because of the role I was playing, reporter, news editor, etc. And I thought, why is it? I've never heard of him until I heard his music, and it's supposedly from Takoradi. And it took a long time to work out that he was too young for us to have met, because when I left Takoradi, he would have been about 15 years old. Given all you know, to what extent do you think Sky might have influenced the emergence of Kofi Kinata in Takoradi?
Oh, when he released the song, we had the opportunity of talking to him. He told us about how Sky has done to his life. He said the mom used to keep his radio at Sky 24/7. Uncle Pia would come and ring the bell and wake them up because he was that young at that time. I'm sure around 10 years old. And all the great things that has happened, all the great shows and all the advices and all the things that were going on. So Sky was like another education for the people of the city, because the things that we were doing, the Uncle Pia, the stuff, Soko Buama and all those people, it was really, really a mouthpiece of the region. And we capitalized on that to make sure that everybody benefited from it, from the kids to the grown-ups, to the school going, to the grown-ups, to the businessman, to the ordinary person in the streets. Everybody had their share of Sky. So I think that's the reason why the love is still there. Interestingly, I was on the very first day officially we had a program. Mm-hmm. I did a countdown.
Yes.
And these days the countdown is back. It's been back for some time, almost 2 years now. And I meet a lot of people, and what they keep saying is that, JM, when we were in secondary school, you had that influence on us. We used to go to prep and we sneak and go and buy a battery, put in a tape, and we'll be listening to your show. Because if you miss the show, it means that you've made something great for a week. You have to wait until another week before you can hear the music, the information about all the artists and the entertainment thing in the industry. They even have to contribute to buy the battery. If you don't contribute to buy the battery, you won't listen to the show.
To the radio.
and these are students of GSTS and at disco and all those people telling me these stories when they meet me these days. Some of them, when I meet them, say, "Oh, I was in secondary school. Oh, I was in this. I was in that." So it shows how impactful we have been from day one until now. That program that Anti-Aja used to do, Millionaire Minds, is also another useful one. Several of businesses, their advice on how to do your business. So the slogan we are using these days is Sky We Impact. And that is why we started doing from day one up to now.
And that is just so true, given the evidence we can see today. And Caesar, another output of Sky is the news and the news review, the current affairs programs, and including the people who were not employees of Sky, but devoted their time to contribute to it. And I'm thinking Tony Osei, JC, Captain Soul, and so on and so forth. What do you say about those and how it impacted?
That was one of the best programs ever to have been done on Sky and still going. You guys set the pace. That newspaper review was like, if you had missed any news, or if you don't listen to the news, you have to wait until Sunday to hear the people. And the knowledge of explanation that will be coming from these guys, Tony Osejosi, Captain, so you yourself, Erica Hianyo and the rest, was something else. Even for those of us who are not really news people, would tune in on Saturdays to listen to you guys. And after church, when you are driving around town, you hear all over the place. And that was very good. It was a reason why I got interested in politics anyway. Because listen to that one alone, and you guys explaining matters to us was something very useful. And it helped in shaping us when political issues were concerned. And then we just listen to the 7 o'clock and that's it, we are off. But now we get people to talk about details, about what it means to be this and that. That was something else. You guys really set the pace for us. It was very good. I really liked the newspaper.
And you know, Caesar, as I speak to you now, I feel privileged, right? Because I'm talking to a man that was there and that got a job at this radio station that is heading to 25 years during test transmission when official transmissions hadn't started. And I'm thinking, my, what an experience you have. You know, as I'm researching to do this, I can see the very many different ways we all have different memories, right? There were people who started a year or two later, they moved on. Others came during the third year, the fourth year, and left after a year or two or 5 years later. I was there for a little over 8 years or something like that. So I saw 8 years. And then others came, probably others will be employed tomorrow who would start and do another 2, 3, 4 years, right? None of these people, apart from the owners, especially Wilson Nathan, and even him, I doubt, because at some point he moved to Accra. He is now a government appointee looking after a little portion of Ghana, representing the president there. But you have been the one constant thing, and that is incredibly special. That is, and I want to underscore this to make it as clear as possible. That is just incredible. So with all that knowledge and experience that you've gone through, how would you describe it all? How would you describe it all?
Well, sometimes I look back from day one and I'm like, I can't believe it's me. Because I was never a radio person. I'm an accountant by profession. What was I doing on radio? But the love of the people around, and also the fact that I was interested in music, that's why got me there. Initially, I was supposed to go and play music on radio. Then one day, I think it was a Saturday, I was home. When I was listening to the sports show in the morning, it was only Yakwachi and Kwesi Esel. The rest of the guys didn't come. Lawyer Kabwafo and the rest. So I hurriedly drove to the studio and I joined the panel. And Yakwachi was surprised to see me because here is somebody who plays hip-hop music. Sunday, I stand up for a sports show. And he asked a question and I answered it perfectly like a sports pundit. And he sat down right. So now he has two people to do the show because Kwesi Esel alone would have struggled with him. And I did a sports show that day to the best of my ability. And they were all shocked, from Wilson to everybody. Then the Uncle Opian, bless his soul, came the following Monday and called me to his office. And he said, are you the one who was on the show on Saturday? I said, henceforth you are going to do sports. I said, Uncle, I can't get the time. So you are going to do sports. I'm on your sports.
Yes, he always calls Wilson Kwabena. Yes.
That's how it started with me doing sports as well. So it wasn't like, somebody pushed me in. I just felt like, help it. And now I do the sports.
I'm glad you brought up the sports portion, right? Because it's one whole story in itself. You guys who were doing the sports, you were first class, incredible, along with Kuntu Blankson, Yao Kranche, Shakes, Kwesi Esel, Uncle Opian himself. And when I remember it, I can't believe how good it was because I remember when we were watching international matches on TV, and I don't know if this has happened anywhere else, where everyone in the city turns off the TV commentary, tunes into the radio to listen to you guys giving the commentary.
Very true. That was something that was very common in the region, even in Cape Coast, everywhere. Everybody will want to listen to us because the knowledgeable people on the platform. I mean, it was something else. You look at it, all this. Later, we're joined by Kuntu Blankson, Uncle Opian, myself, Yakranche, Kojo Frimpong, a lawyer, the lawyer Kabwa for Lawton Dazi. Oh, the list goes on and on and on. That was something else. That was something else. Those guys really, really were on top of it.
And you referred to lawyer Akaboafo. See, that guy is so brilliant. And today, he was a working lawyer, but he sits in the studio talking about sports with such authority, such depth of understanding. Today, he is a high court judge. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Yes. And the same goes with Kwesi Esel as well. He's with the Petroleum Commission now. was one of their big bosses here in the region. And you see, that's why I was saying that we had all those people who had the best of knowledge at that time at our disposal. So sometimes some of us will not even talk on the show because the show will be packed. Imagine Kojo Frimpong. When Kojo Frimpong speaks alone, he speaks like 20 minutes or stop, like a parrot. So before he finishes, there will be nothing left to say. So we just keep quiet, and maybe himself and lawyer Kawaf will do. I'll be the host if he was not available, and a lawyer will not even say much. PCSA will not say much. Lawton will just be there observing. Sometimes Uncle Pia will not even come on air because he won't get something to say. So that was something. I remember one doctor, forgetting the doctor, came to the studio when we were doing sports, and when you entered, he said, now small boys in a one then they work up before I can see them. That was a very encouraging thing. We had people coming all the time to come and have a look at us. And every time they enter, they say, but you didn't pay you someone from and that was something. That was something.
You know, and I remember Kojo Frimpong, he's an orator when he's giving the commentary. I remember, look, we all love the Brazilian Pele. Everyone loves it. And everyone calls him Pele. That's it. As far as we're concerned, he had no other name. Not with Kojo Frimpong. Kojo Frimpong would take his time and go like Edson Arantes do Nascimento. And you go like, wow.
That was a unique thing about him. He had his way with names as well. So Kojo was something else.
You see, I was never a sport-loving person, but now that I talk about it, I can see how much of fondness, I developed for it as a result of the work you guys did. And we were talking about, again, lawyer Kabuafo. We also had a guy, if you remember him, Samuel Ansan. He was in the newsroom. Another brilliant
Samuel Ansan, yes.
Samuel Ansan.
Another brilliant guy.
Oh, man.
Samuel Ansan, another brilliant guy.
The guy was so brilliant, it was driving him crazy like the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was
hard-working
so
as well.
Hard-working, and he cared about the quality of language and just how right things ought to be. Pleasant company.
I quite remember he was pushing you guys to bring your script for marking or stuff before you go on. I remember him very well. Very quiet guy as well, but
and we
hardworking.
And we hated him as much as we loved him because, look, Caesar, one of these days I will look for one of his scripts. He's got the worst handwriting on earth, And now he has also become a judge of the circuit court, So a few years ago, when I spoke to him, I said, I hope your secretary is able to read your handwriting. But great company we had. Finally, JM Caesar, what would you say is the legacy of Sky as we are looking at this picture of Sky becoming a quarter of a century old?
Wow. I'll first of all use the word impact. They helped shape the city of Secondary Itakra. It got to a point we had our megaphones in all the marketplaces around the region. And whatever we were saying was on air. Uncle Pierre especially used to hammer on some of the things that goes on that were not going right. Remember, even the traffic light at Piper was named after Uncle Pierre traffic light.
Correct.
Because of the numerous accidents that were happening over there. He pushed and eventually traffic lights were put at that place. That was how powerful it is. I know there is a program that we do that is around your area or something. I forgot about that. People will call Sky to tell Sky about the problem. I mean, those things, it goes to show how Sky really had an impact in the region. And besides, it also opened avenues for a lot of people to, get on with their work and businesses as well. Because advertising on radio was then no, but when Sky advertised, people were tripping into other shops to go and buy. So that also helped in expanding their business as well. Then the talents. You meet a lot of people that say, I want to be like JF. And the same goes with all you guys who were there from the beginning. Myself, I used to practice reading the scripts. When I come to the studio, you guys are let I'll pick it and I'll be reading them just to make sure that I get my words right, following you guys. And it was such you can't quantify it. You can't quantify it from the business side to the economics to everything. The social side of stuff, you can't quantify it. Sky has really, really, really done a lot in this country. And people who grew up listening to Sky will be the best maybe to give their judgment. For those of us who were in, what we can say is that yes, we have helped to impact, but I'm sure people around that have listened to us from day one will probably be able to give a fair assessment of the question you just asked.
Well, one of the things that I admire about you, JM, is the fact that as I knew you from day one, you've never needed a job. And yet, in fact, for you, taking on the job at Sky was a sacrifice because you had a real job, if we can call it that way, that you were doing, a full-fledged accountant, so busy with all the work you were doing back then. And the fact that you still threw yourself into it, you helped the crew, just like everyone contributed. It's something that everyone could see. And the thing is, we can speak about each other this way, but back then, we couldn't really fully see it because we were having too much fun. We were just having so much fun. We didn't see what a great community that we were building.
Well, we never saw the history. I mean, like you said, we're too young to know about this one. But now we have seen that, hey, that was one big thing that we had going on at that time till now. And that's how life is. The little things that you might not put what else to it. You grew up to become one of the best ever. I think those times were some of the best times in our lives. I quite remember Rutai. Every time we were going to eat, he will be the first to finish eating because his program starts at 1.
Correct.
And it'll probably be like 1:45 by the time we are finished eating. And driving from Sekedi to, Windy Ridge took us some time, especially there was traffic on the road. As soon as we get down, they will be reading the news and he will just jump from the car and be running on the steps. You go to the studio, you sit in that panting and say, what I'm doing, I can't remember.
That expression.
Because of the running that he did. So eventually he said to us that, okay, you guys, when you're going to eat, I won't go. But carry a bowl, please, and bring me some. So this is a top secret. The first 15 minutes of Rutai's program, we will play music without talking. By that time, he will be eating.
Do you know what? I've seen it so many times. It actually became like a style, right? But no one would have known it was done out of necessity because he will be eating for the first 10, 15 minutes while playing the music continuously.
Then after that, I would come out like King's Bite, man. It's a romantic, it's nice. At that time, I've been full, so he can make sure it's there.
Oh, and Caesar.
So there was some wonderful stuff going on.
And Caesar, I can tell you, I have spoken to Ruta. We had a long conversation over 2 hours, and he said the sweetest thing about Sky. He said all the people he worked with, all of us who worked together, we were all like siblings. And I thought that was just so sweet and beautiful, and the way he talked about all of us and that the way we used to go and eat food together, there's the cocoa, the porridge that we buy together, and all the outside broadcast shows. The porridge was a big deal, and all the things we did together. I mean, that time will never come again. And we dare not forget it. And we must preserve it in some way, shape, or form. And that is made possible by a conversation such as this, which is why, Caesar, I really, really, really want to thank you for for your time. Really appreciate it. And just talking to you brings back so many memories, so much more than I thought possible.
Oh, I mean, you have made my day. I'm sure the next few days I'll still be laughing. I'll be smiling, driving around, and people will be wondering, hey, is he okay? Just playing back memories of the conversation we just had and to recount all the sweet memories we used to have back in the days until now.
And about, I don't know, shortly after October, when this is published, I hope so. I really hope so. I'm scared just thinking about it. But when it's all done, after the book comes out, I plan to have all this conversation very well edited and then turn into a podcast. How we talked about ourselves, as a background for the book.
That would be amazing. I can't wait to hear what Eloy and Kojo from Paul will be saying. They're talking about Eloy.
Yeah.
Let me recount one other. We always used to, sometimes my dad would invite us to Takrady Beach Hotel to come and eat.
Mm-hmm.
So one day we said Eloy was the new boy, so baptize him. So we took him to Takrady Beach Hotel to have lunch with us. And Joannison and Bob G. Freire Kwame Jokoto, and I think Yakranchi was part, say that we should give him, I think that time the drink was called Escape.
Yeah.
It's like Shandy now. We should give him Escape to drink because he was drinking Coke and stuff. So we gave him a bottle of Escape.
My goodness, and I remember the story. Go on. The guy got drunk.
And boy got drunk. While we took him home, he was climbing the gate to get into the house. Then we were all looking at him and say, hey, what is happening? He climbed the wall, Charlie, only to jump in and to realize that the gate was open. So later that evening, Eloy's father called me and said, JM Caesar, how about that? My brother, what also through them? I said, yeah. That was one funny day.
Do you know, now that we talk about that, I also remember one time we all went to Ifa Palace for my favorite banku and fish soup,
Yes.
And everyone was drinking, so, why not join them? I also drank. Well, alcohol never sat well with me.
No. I can't remember. You were not one of us.
I could hardly walk. I had news to read. Impossible. There was no way I could do it. We made a call to the studio to say, Phillip is retired for the day. And the funny thing was, I didn't know what I was drinking was alcohol.
Oh boy, that was an experience. I will never forget that day.
In fact, I've always remembered the two episodes, the one of Eloy. But I think Eloy was maybe a year or two younger than us, at least. So we were like kind of the big brother.
Yeah.
You're a few years older than your colleague, and then you become a big brother.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Oh man, we had fun. Look, when I spoke to Mami McHanson, she and sis, I'm telling you, this is what is truly amazing about it. Everyone has slightly different perspective, of course, but they all come back to the same thing, that just how funny and how much fun we had, and how close we were and how we looked after each other and how the bond is so strong and unbreakable.
Well, we will never have that experience again. I mean, to tell you the truth, I brought my mind back to 37 Windy Ridge and climbing the stairs. You meet people along the line. When you get to the studio, they'll all be sitting down waiting to hear from you. You greet one another. Oh, man, Phillip. Today is a good day. Today is a good day.
Oh, man. Nadole told her own beautiful stories as well. Oh, man. It was just... So, essentially, we finished the conversation now, but just before you go, I haven't told Wilson and Ajwa Moffat that I'm doing this because I thought, you know what? I mean, a typical journalist, I want to be able to start from the end of the world and then get so close. By the time
beginning.
Wilson knows and Ajwan knows, we've got a lot already, you know. Yeah. And I think in a way
it's a very good idea. I agree with you on this one.
You know. Oh boy, JM Caesar. It's lovely,
Yes,
lovely talking to you. And you know what? I really want to get the opportunity to call again, and then we talk about ourselves, not necessarily for a book, you know, but just conversation.
No problem. I'm always available.